All right, so let's dive right in. We're talking stock market today. More specifically, the Nasdaq. It just took a bit of a tumble, dropped into what they call correction territory.
Yeah.
Which always makes investors, gets them a little nervous.
Yeah, a little bit.
And you've been asking about, what does this actually mean? Like not just the definition, but historically.
Yeah.
What happens next? So we're going to look at this article from the Motley Fool.
Yeah.
They've analyzed Nasdaq performance after these types of dips, going all the way back to 2010.
Yeah, I think it's a really fascinating look at, market psychology.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
As much as it is, a deep dive into the numbers.
Exactly. So to kind of paint the picture here,
yeah.
As of March 6, 2025, the Nasdaq is down 10.4% from its peak in December 2024. So not a great start to the year.
Yeah, not ideal.
The Motley Fool article, it points to, uncertainty around tariffs imposed by the Trump administration as a possible reason for this.
Right.
But here's where it gets interesting. So they found that instead of continuing to decline, the Nasdaq has historically bounced back after corrections.
Yeah, and I think the key here is that it's not just a little bounce.
Right.
On average, we're looking at a 21% return in the 12 months following a correction.
Wow.
Now, to give you some context there, the average market return over that same period is often closer to, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but let's just say it's significantly different.
So we're not just talking about recovering. We're talking about potentially like outperforming the market after a dip.
Exactly.
That's pretty wild. So, okay, so 21% average. But was this like a steady climb, or were there some like dramatic moments along the way? I think the article mentioned a few specific examples.
Yeah, there were definitely some roller coaster moments in there. So, for example, the year after November 14th, 2012, saw a 40% return. And then after the February 27th, 2020 correction, the Nasdaq surged a whopping 54%.
Wow.
So
talk about a comeback.
Yeah, huge jumps.
Yeah, I can see why you're kind of drawn to this history here. But we're not saying that everyone should just assume this pattern is going to repeat itself every time.
Right.
This is more about understanding tendencies.
Yeah.
Not like betting the farm on a guaranteed outcome.
You're absolutely right. I mean, historical data is a powerful tool, but it's not a crystal ball.
Right.
Right. Past performance never guarantees future results. It can give us some really great insights, but it's really more about context, I think.
Yeah, okay. So no guarantees, but some interesting food for thought for sure.
Yeah.
What I'm really curious about, though, is why does the Nasdaq tend to rebound like this after corrections?
Yeah.
Is it just like random chance? Or are there some underlying forces at play here?
Well, I think the article suggests a few possible explanations.
Right.
One theory is that the market tends to overreact to negative news.
Oh?
So it's kind of like knee-jerk reaction. You know?
Right.
In this case, tariffs create uncertainty, and that initial fear can drive prices down further than they should go, based on like the fundamentals. And then as things settle out, a rebound occurs.
So almost like an overcorrection followed by a recorrection.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Are there any other explanations for this rebound effect?
Well, another theory is that savvy investors might see these corrections as buying opportunities.
Oh, okay.
When prices drop, it can be a chance to snag some potentially undervalued stocks, and then that increased demand helps to drive the prices back up.
Makes sense.
Right?
So it sounds like a combination of market psychology and then opportunistic investors could be contributing to this historical trend.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what seems to be the driving force behind this correction that we're seeing right now, those tariffs from the Trump administration. It's not just the tariffs themselves, it's the uncertainty surrounding them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Trump administration's approach to trade policy has been, well, let's just say it's been unpredictable. The article highlights this back and forth. On tariffs with countries like Canada, China, and Mexico, initially planned for February 4th, they were then delayed. For Canadian and Mexican imports until March 4th, only to be adjusted again on March 6th, exempting certain goods.
It's constantly shifting.
It's really hard for businesses to know what to expect.
Yeah, they're probably getting a little nervous.
Yeah.
It's like trying to run a marathon when you don't know where the finish line is.
Exactly. And that uncertainty makes it really difficult for businesses to plan for the future. Imagine trying to budget for materials or price your products when you have no idea what import costs will be next month.
Right. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Either they absorb these higher costs,
right,
which is going to cut into their profits, or they pass those costs on to consumers through higher prices and then risk a drop in sales.
Right.
It's
a tough situation.
Yeah.
And it definitely adds another layer of complexity to this whole market situation.
For sure. Well, I think the big question that our listeners are probably thinking right now is, okay, this is all really fascinating, but what does this all mean for me and my investment portfolio? I think that's a question for part 2 of our deep dive.
Yeah, let's shift gears from the broader market trends to the individual investor's perspective. And we'll be back after a quick break to unpack the potential implications and explore what actions, if any, you might consider in light of this historical data.
Sounds good. So welcome back to the deep dive. We've been looking at this Nasdaq correction, and those historical trends you were talking about.
Yeah.
It definitely gave me a new perspective. But how does all this knowledge actually translate into actionable insights?
Yeah.
For someone listening right now, like, should they be hitting the buy button or running for the hills?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think, as with most things in the market, the answer is it's nuanced.
Right.
It's tempting to look at that 21% average rebound and get swept up in the excitement.
Right.
But we can't forget that every correction is unique,
Okay, so context is key.
Yeah.
We can't just blindly assume history is going to repeat itself, especially with all this trade policy uncertainty, right? It feels different this time. Am I just getting caught up in the headlines, or is that like a valid concern?
I think it's a valid point to raise. While the Nasdaq has shown this resilience in the past, this trade situation does introduce a new layer of complexity. We've talked about the challenges that businesses are facing, but let's zoom in a bit further.
Okay.
The Nasdaq is known for its concentration of growth stocks,
Right.
particularly in the tech and consumer discretionary sectors. How might these tariffs specifically impact those types of companies?
That's a great point. Our listener might have a portfolio that's tilted towards those growth stocks.
Yeah.
So understanding the potential impact there is crucial. It's not just about the overall market. It's about, specific sectors.
Precisely. And the impact can vary widely. For example, some tech companies are heavily reliant on global supply chains.
Yep.
Think semiconductors or rare earth minerals. They could see their production costs just absolutely skyrocket if those imports get hit with tariffs.
Wow.
And that could really squeeze profit margins, making them less appealing to investors.
So a hit to profitability could potentially lead to like a further decline in stock prices, even if the overall market rebounds. That's something I hadn't considered.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, but it's not all doom and gloom. On the flip side, some companies might actually benefit from these tariffs.
Okay.
Domestic companies competing directly with those foreign imports could see a surge in demand for their products as those imports become more expensive.
So it's not one size fits all.
Not at all.
Some companies might get hammered. Others might do really well. It all boils down to understanding, the specifics of each sector and how they're positioned within this trade landscape. This feels like a crucial moment to emphasize that doing your own research is key. We can talk about, general trends, but every investment decision ultimately comes down to the individual and their specific goals.
Absolutely. And that research goes beyond just reading headlines.
Right.
It means diving into company financials, understanding their supply chains, and assessing their exposure to these tariffs, both the potential downsides and the potential upsides.
So connecting the dots between, these macroeconomic trends and the micro-level decisions of individual companies, it's like a giant puzzle.
It is.
Where each piece influences the others. We've talked about analyzing this through a historical lens and through a sector-specific lens. Are there any other perspectives that might help someone listening make sense of all this?
Well, let's shift gears a little bit and consider the overall economic landscape. Are there other factors besides these tariffs that could be impacting the market's movements? After all, the market rarely reacts to just one thing in isolation.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's easy to get tunnel vision when one event dominates the headlines. But the market is this complex ecosystem influenced by so many different variables. So what are some of the other factors that we should be paying attention to?
Well, interest rates are always a major player. If the Federal Reserve decides to raise rates, that can make borrowing more expensive for companies. And that can potentially slow down growth. Inflation is another key factor. If prices continue to rise, it can erode consumer purchasing power, which would impact corporate earnings.
And don't forget about consumer confidence.
Right.
If people are feeling uncertain about the economy, they might cut back on spending, which could ripple through various industries.
Exactly. It's all a delicate balancing act. And even small shifts in any of these areas can have a cascading effect on the market.
So this is really highlighting the importance of staying informed. Reading financial news, following market trends, understanding how it's all interconnected. It can feel overwhelming, but it's essential for making those informed decisions.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to ask questions, whether it's reaching out to a financial advisor or simply engaging in discussions like this. Seeking different perspectives can really help you gain a more holistic understanding.
Great advice. So I know we can't cover every single nuance of the market in one deep dive, but as we wrap up this section, what key takeaways would you leave our listener with, especially in light of this Nasdaq correction and all the trade policy uncertainty?
I think the most important thing to remember is that corrections are a normal part of the market cycle. They're not necessarily a sign of impending doom, but rather an opportunity to reassess, rebalance, and make informed decisions based on your individual goals and risk tolerance.
So taking a deep breath, avoiding those knee-jerk reactions,
Yeah.
Using this as a chance to step back, analyze the situation, make strategic choices. What about that lingering question, though? Is this a buying opportunity or a warning sign?
Well, that's where things get really interesting, and I think that's a perfect segue into our final part of this deep dive. We'll explore that question in more detail and leave our listener with some final food for thought.
All right, so welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered so much ground, historical trends, trade policy turmoil, and now I'm kind of feeling that itch, the one where you want to put all this knowledge into action.
I know what you mean.
But like we've been saying, it's not about making impulsive moves. It's about making informed ones.
Yeah.
So let's finally tackle the big question that's probably on everyone's mind right now. Is this Nasdaq correction a buying opportunity, or is it a signal to proceed with caution?
Yeah, that's the question that every investor's thinking about, and I wish I had, a simple answer.
You're right.
But the reality is, it depends. It depends on your individual risk tolerance, your investment goals, and your understanding of the specific companies and sectors you're interested in.
Okay, so no magic formula.
Got it. Yeah.
But let's break down this, it depends, a little bit. What are some of the key factors that our listeners should be considering when making this decision? We've talked about historical trends, the potential impact of tariffs.
Yeah.
What other pieces of this puzzle might be relevant here?
Well, let's go back to the idea that the Nasdaq is often seen as a benchmark for growth stocks. And remember, these are companies that prioritize innovation, rapid expansion. Typically in sectors like technology and consumer discretionary, they tend to offer the potential for higher returns, but they also come with higher volatility.
Right. So if the Nasdaq is doing well, it's generally seen as a good sign for growth stocks. And conversely, when it dips like it has now, it could signal a shift in investor sentiment towards those growth-oriented companies.
Exactly. And that shift in sentiment can be driven by all sorts of factors, including the ones we've already talked about: interest rate hikes, inflation concerns, geopolitical events, you name it. So for our listener who might have a lot of their portfolio in growth stocks, this Nasdaq correction could be a bigger deal than for someone with a more diversified portfolio.
That's a really good point. It's not just about the overall market direction. It's about how specific sectors are impacted. This feels like a good time to remind everyone about diversification. Spreading your investments across different sectors can help soften the blow if one area takes a hit.
Couldn't agree more. Diversification is one of the most fundamental principles of investing. It helps to manage risk by ensuring that your entire portfolio isn't riding on the performance of just one sector or even one company.
Okay, so diversification is key, but it doesn't really answer the question: should you buy, sell, or hold? How can our listener use these historical trends, the current uncertainties, their own risk tolerance, to arrive at a decision that feels right for them?
Well, that's where things get really personal. There's no right or wrong answer. Some investors might see this correction as a chance to buy those growth stocks while they're potentially undervalued, hoping for a rebound based on those historical trends. Others might see it as a sign of more turbulence ahead and choose to reduce their exposure to those more volatile sectors.
So it's less about following a set formula and more about knowing your own comfort level with risk. If you're someone who's excited by potential high growth, but can handle the ups and downs, maybe this dip is an opportunity to grab some bargains. But if you're more risk-averse and prioritize stability, maybe a more cautious approach makes sense.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance. That works for your individual needs and goals. There's no right or wrong way to do it, as long as it aligns with your overall investment strategy.
This has been so insightful.
Yeah.
And I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about as they navigate this market. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom you want to leave them with as they go on their investment journey?
I would say stay curious, stay informed, and never stop learning. The market is always changing. So embrace that process of discovery. read research, have thoughtful conversations, and most importantly, make decisions that feel right for you based on your own values and goals.
That's great advice. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Nasdaq correction, and until next time, happy investing.